Grace and peace, everybody. We're back. There was no thumbnail. There was no title. I know. I just wanted to get on here and talk about a video that was sent to me, which was the gentleman that was actually speaking to, debating with Charlie Kirk the moment that his life was taken. And actually it was really a good interview. And of course, he's a left-leaning individual, but you can see through this video that he even mentions it at one point, like, what was the purpose of this? What was the purpose of taking his life? It's not like you're going to change anything. And as you see on the banner down at the bottom, I leave the quote from Tertullian: "The blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church." And this is not going to result in what that person who pulled the trigger thought it would do. By no means or measures. This is only going to, it's going to super invigorate those who hold to strong Christian values and Christian traditions to hold even faster to their traditions and their values. They're not going to give up on their faith because we watch somebody be deleted in 4K. It's not going to happen. What we're going to see is a greater push. Now, we can have a discussion for 2 days and 8 hours about whether or not conservative versus liberal ideology. We can have that discussion. What I want to point out is some of the issues that they see as it relates to, where they're missing rather, as it relates to the Christian ethic and the Christian values in this time and space. Now, let me just real quick before you jump into the best live chat and the best comment section in the galaxy. I'm not saying that Charlie Kirk was perfect. There's going to be some quotes in here that I strongly disagree with Charlie Kirk on. I would ask him some more questions. I would push back on it. I feel like some of the quotes actually are a little bit, I'm like, there's got to be some more context to this. It sounds like you picked this out of the middle of a stream of thought. But I digress. I'm not saying that Charlie Kirk was perfect, but guess what? I'm not saying that I'm perfect. And I'm pretty sure if you're honest, you're not perfect either. So what I want to do is just bring this in. I'm not going to stop a whole lot. There are some really key moments that I want to pull out, but I do want to just give this an opportunity. If you had not seen it, I'll leave the link down in the description for this video. Let's get at it. Let's go.
So my name is Hunter. I was in the middle of debating Charlie Kirk in the middle of the assassination at Utah Valley University.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
What brought you to the event that day?
I make videos on Charlie Kirk, and I made this video about the statistical analysis on trans shooters. And sort of the point that I was trying to make was that it's sort of a statistical outlier, that they're extremely underrepresented when it comes to how peaceful they are. Obviously, that question, pretty ironic given when it was given. Yeah, so I mostly came in there because Charlie's very open about having some sort of dialogue or some sort of conversation that he believes in engaging. And I'm pretty on the record of how much I disagree with him, but I do definitely respect how much he's willing to platform voices to ensure that at least some semblance of a good conversation can come out of it.
Mm-hmm. And as far as these statistical anomaly thing when it comes to trans shooters, is that in response to the way that him and Turning Point were framing that as a big issue?
So it was about 3 weeks ago. There was a trans shooter at a Catholic church. Charlie made a bunch of tweets basically saying, when are we going to start noticing this?
Here, let me just read it real quick. Minneapolis school leader Robert Wilson confessed that he's tired of being trans, and he wished he never brainwashed himself. The evil perpetrated on this young people by the trans medical industry is something future generations will look upon with horror. I don't see what's wrong with this statement. Let's just be honest. Now, if this is the slam dunk, I didn't see this as the slam dunk they thought it would be. Because, he's literally saying he was brainwashed he brainwashed himself. So anyway, let's keep going.
This is a trend. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm getting my math degree at UVU. That was my university. And I was like, there's an answer to that. We can determine if there's some sort of outliers. We can use p-values, things like that. And I was like, according to the data, it really doesn't pan out that there is a trend here at all. So I kind of made a video calling him out a little bit and saying, hey, I want to come debate you. I want to come do it. And a lot of people were kind of encouraging me. So I kind of wanted to come and have my, I guess my little audience see that.
Mm-hmm. How was the energy whenever you arrived to the event?
Very conservative, for sure. Everyone was very energetic, chanting Trump, chanting USA.
Get comfortable. Bring the best libs that Utah has to offer.
There was a line of liberals on the rooftop who were holding like pride flags and I think some like Palestine flags and things like that. And, you know, there was a little bit of taunting back and forth, but not very out of hand. Most of the debaters were either like asking questions like who's better, LeBron or Jordan, or like some like theological debates about distinctions between like Mormonism and Christians.
That Jesus Christ was a real person. He lived a perfect life. He was crucified, died, and rose on the third day, and he is Lord and God over all. Christ is King.
But also, the event lasted, I want to say 20 minutes, maybe. Like, I really didn't get a good finger on the pulse on what an event would really look like, because, I mean, I showed up fairly early. I was the second person to speak there. So, like, you know, the first person was maybe 10 minutes, and I maybe got, like, less than a minute in. So,
could you give us kind of a recap of how that conversation with Charlie went?
Sure.
Yeah, this is working. Hey, Charlie. Hey, hopefully we're going to have a little bit more disagreement.
So
I want to just say right here, and I've mentioned this several times, that we are looking at the slow death of civil discourse. The fact that this man came to speak to Charlie Kirk, it doesn't seem like he was being booed down. It doesn't sound like, from my understanding, Charlie Kirk's, because this event was, of course, clearly didn't go its full length. The other events that I've seen have been extremely inviting and amicable and allowing others to voice their disapproval, their opinions, whatnot like that. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with allowing me and you to verbally spar with our words and talk about what we disagree on, and maybe come to a place where we can say, you know what? I see your point. Or, hey, I did not see it in that way. I apologize. I was wrong about that initially. What's wrong with that? In a moment, like I said, he's going to talk about it, because this gentleman right here is not right-leaning, right? I think we all can agree on that. He's going to actually say what we all said right here. There was no point in this. He's literally going to say, what's the point in what you did? Which is crazy, because I'm like, dude, did you just say that? Now, again, I don't expect him to be out, rocking a MAGA hat at a Trump rally next Tuesday. But I do think that this is going to be the byproduct. There's going to be a lot of left-leaning, blue-haired, septum ring people that are going to be like, yo, we are out of control. We are out of pocket in this regard. But let's go.
it was, I came in and I said, hey, there was a shooting that happened maybe a few weeks ago in Minneapolis.
And ever since then, about 3 weeks later, the Trump DOJ said that we should start talking about revoking gun rights for transgender Americans. Now,
do you think, is that, you agree with this? Is that a fair assessment or something like that? And he said, yes. And then I said,
so do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years?
Too many.
And I said, there's 5. And I said, do you know how many shootings there have been? I think maybe my memory's a little hazy. I haven't rewatched the videos, honestly. But it was something like this, which I knew the answer was, it was a little under 6,000. He said something like, we need to account for gang violence. And I think I was like, I said, I was in the middle of saying, great, did you run a statistical analysis on that, right? Like essentially saying you have the burden of proof.
I have to admit, I don't think gang violence needs to be brought into the discussion because it is a different type of category. So I would have disagreed with Charlie on how he approached that my own self. Let's just put that out there. But let's get moving.
And I think I was in the middle of saying that when he got shot.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
I went down pretty immediately, and everyone near me, everyone in the rest of my line, who I'd been talking to for the last like few hours, dropped down with me. I remember I have a brother who was in a school shooting, and I was talking about the distinction between these, that like for me, it was there wasn't as much fear as I think I would expect, because I recognized immediately, like I think I was a lot more logical than I thought I would be in that moment, where I was like, that's an assassination. He is the target. He is the only target. I am freaked out, but I know that I'm okay. Whatever. It definitely became chaotic. My wife was in the crowd. I tried reaching her. It took me like 20, 30 minutes. Just a lot of chaos as like, I sort of shifted in a weird place. Then I had to wrap back around, and I couldn't find her, and our phones weren't really working, and it was bombarded by texts, and I don't know. So it was very chaotic, and it took a while to really orient myself. But it was a strange environment, because people were kind of milling around afterward. I think a lot of people had this similar idea that it's like, this is different. An assassination is very different from a mass shooting, where a mass shooting, you disperse, right? Everyone's a target. But when it comes to an assassination, it's everyone just sort of was there. And I heard a number of people say, like, so much for the tolerant left, right? Like the 2 or 3 people said that as they walked by.
And what do you think about that assessment?
I made this video a little while ago. I've been following, sounds crazy, I've been following Charlie Kirk for a little while. I went to Tampa, Florida for one of his events. I remember I was just basically interviewing some of his followers, and I found this girl, and she seemed so young and bright, ignorant for sure, dumb, I would probably say. I'll be honest, dumb. But I was just asking her questions, and I started bringing up, I'm like, oh, liberals would say, and then I would give my argument, right?
Someone can go get like a whole surgery done, without parent approval. It's like, how is that even happening? How are they going to the doctor's appointments without the parents there?
And then like, I know I've seen parents on social media where they're like, oh, I haven't identified my kid yet, and it scares me, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're gonna grow up thinking that they don't know what they are, or like that they could transition into something else. And
but wouldn't that be transitioning with parent approval?
Yeah, that's what I'm like saying, like to take away. Does that make sense?
But if they have parent approval, it sounds like you're talking about parents who give approval that they should be trans.
She was like, that's such an interesting thing. I've never thought of that, right? She gave, and I was like, I was like, cut. That's so perfect. I'm so glad I captured that like the conservative person was so clearly just kind of needed to hear the right thing, and maybe got bumped in the right.
I don't know if that's the right thing, but let me just say again, this is civil discourse. This is the ability, me and you, to have a conversation. You saw him talking. He had the mic. He handed her the mic. They weren't over talking each other. They definitely weren't fighting one another. It was just a civil conversation. I don't know if that's a slam dunk that he thought it would be, but that's beside the point. The point is they're able to have a conversation. And nobody, as far as I know, and y'all are welcome to show me evidence of somebody going to a right-leaning rally and getting mollywopped, getting curb stomped at a right-leaning Trump rally, conservative rally, whatever, because they hold a different viewpoint. Send me the links, because I haven't seen it. Don't mean it don't happen, but send me the links.
Right direction. And I posted it feeling so confident, and 90% of the comments were about how fat she was. And I really felt like what am I contributing to in this culture? And like, in some ways, I'm extremely proud of the left. I'm extremely proud of the people that I've.
Okay, I want you to watch this right here. This is the section where he literally is like, we do ourselves no favors, and no favor was done on Wednesday by the taking of Charlie Kirk's life. Listen to what he says. I really found this amazing.
I've met organizing and being in these conversations. And I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. And I would also say that the right definitely has its issue with violence, right? We talk about political violence, like, Gretchen Whitmer, Josh Shapiro, Paul Pelosi, I could go on and on. But like, I am startled.
Hold on. Let me back to the, because I've been thinking about these people that he said. Gretchen, these people, Paul Pelosi, that was a right-leaning, wasn't it Paul Pelosi that was having a extramarital affair with a man and the man beat him over the head with a hammer or something? And they actually have the picture.
And I would also say that the right definitely has its issue with violence, right? We talk about political violence, like, Gretchen Whitmer, Josh Shapiro, Paul Pelosi, I could go.
Isn't this the guy? Who's this guy? Vance Luther Bolton. Is that the gentleman that deleted the judges during the No Kings protest? Okay. They just put people up in here. I don't like the documentary. The clips they put up here are problematic. I don't think this guy was a conservative at all, unless I missed something. Please let me know. Don't let me be wrong like this. Okay, let's go. Right, I thought so, but didn't he have like some issue where he was doing the adult happy time with another man and the man beat him on the head with a hammer and they try to make it look like a break-in or something? But let me just say like this, where was conservatives on that? What does right-leaning have to do with that? See, he's just saying things. That's the part I didn't like.
Go on and on.
Watch this.
But like, I am startled very often by how quick people are to grab onto like righteous violence. And I don't know. I understand his assessment when he says so much for the tolerant left. Like, that's kind of in some ways, a lot of things that I've seen.
Was there something you saw in particular that you were like, man, that's too far?
Yeah. About Charlie? Or, I mean, yeah, I saw someone post like, proud to be a UVU alum today. And like, it's also people in my hallways, right, who are just maybe a little bit terminally online. But like, I don't know, I've for sure seen some, why am I gonna be sad? I'm glad he's in the grave. A lot of comments like that.
Nah, real shit though, how do we know that Charlie Kirk didn't die of a fentanyl overdose? You feel me? Like, we gotta wait on the toxicology reports come out, cause, okay, we might have saw a gunshot and shit, but we also saw somebody put their knee on somebody else's neck, and we saw other people still say that person died of fentanyl overdose.
What was some of the rhetoric you saw online that was like particularly insane to see? What kind of things were they saying?
Seeing people in comments on like big news pages that are like, yeah, well, anyways, what's for dinner? Or, well, this is karma. Like, this was deserved. Nobody deserves to be shot and killed. Nobody. Doesn't matter if they're Democratic Party, Republic Party, does not matter.
Yeah.
Nobody deserves to be shot and killed in front of their family.
Yeah.
No one.
How did we get to this point where it's so divided we can't even look at the other party, So it's disappointing, It's shocking.
So you monitored the online discourse in the immediate aftermath of the shooting?
First few hours, I for sure logged off.
That's enough time.
Democrats own what happened today.
Bro, I'd be so pressed if this guy shot me.
Yeah.
So you kind of I saw like two different narratives on the right. They were like, all right, this is the turning point for the left. Like, they have officially gone haywire. I think Alex Jones and Owen Schroyer said, we are all Charlie Kirk. And then, I think libs of TikTok said, this is war. So it was like the, spawn point for like a larger domestic.
So let me just jump in here, because I think that he missed, and maybe it's because of his ideology. There is another viewpoint. Yes, you did hear those two viewpoints from those two parties, but there's a third viewpoint as well. And the third viewpoint is the Christian stance that this is, for lack of a better term, this is the green light for us to be much more vocal in our Christian faith, because nothing's going to change unless we preach the gospel. This is not just a woe is me, oh, woe is me. No, we're going to vocally be out. Again, like I've said it before, they created 10 million more If they didn't like what Charlie had to say and his pushing of Christian ethics and traditional values, please understand, sir, ma'am, you've only opened up the door, green lighted multiple tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands more of us. We are going to be much more vocal, much more clear, much more to the point than you've ever seen before. I do hope you understand. If you follow me on my other channel, I'm reading a book a week, as well as working on 2 other goals. And I picked up, I have read it before. It's definitely not going to be a book a week, but I'm just going to read it anyway. Fox's Book of Martyrs. And I would highly recommend that everybody, whether you're a Christian or not, that you pick up Fox's Book of Martyrs and just see, we're not alone. This has been this is not a one-off event. This is not the first time ever in history. No, sir, ma'am, this is the first time ever in history this week. It's gone on forever. And if Christ tarries for another 100 years, it'll go on for another 100 years. But sir, ma'am, you did not quench the church. So the political discord and the conservative back and forth, whatever, but the Christ church is still going to continue. Let us continue.
Conflict that's going to be apparently spearheaded by the left. Then there was a lot of people that I saw celebrating the death, saying like, this is what he deserves for his rhetoric about Gaza and immigration. And they pointed to some of his quotes where I think one quote said, it was something like, I'm willing.
He's going to misquote it, so let me just read it correctly. It's worth the cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment. Okay. I got somebody in my comment section that is doing some serious pretzel twisting because they don't like this comment. But let's just be honest, please. It's not gun violence. It's us. We are the problem. We like to kill. Go see your great-great-granddaddy Cain for further reference. We kill. He killed with a rock. Okay. It's not the gun. It's not the gun. It is us. We are the problem. And apart from Christ changing our sinful, wicked, evil disposition toward rebellion against God and hatred toward our brothers and sisters, this will continue if they take away guns, they take away knives and bats and ropes and rocks. We'll find a way to kill each other with air. Okay. We're just going to do that because we're evil. Apart from Christ, our hearts are inclined to sin. That's just it. So though I disagree, the way he said it, it does kind of come across kind of crass, like, oh, let him just do it. No, that's not what he's saying. What he's saying is that, you know what? And I mentioned this to the person in my comment, in my email thread, that the problem is we think that we can legislate our sinful, wicked hearts, and we can't. You cannot legislate evil. It has to be dealt with at the foot of the cross. If it's not dealt with at the foot of the cross, then you're going to get what you get, and you better not pitch a fit. So this is what we get. We tried to give the Second Amendment to allow us to defend ourselves. And guess what? We end up killing ourselves. It really is that obvious. There has to be, the only way man's laws work is that man has to be submitted under Christ. That's the only way. That's the only way. Otherwise, man's laws will just continue. I mean, because if they did work, we wouldn't have so many of them. But we have so many of them because we keep finding new ways to be rebellious against God and hating our fellow brothers and sisters. That's it. All right, let's go back. Shout out to everybody in the best live chat on the internet. Thank you so much, MT. Real quick, he says this. Thank you very much for the $5 super. Thank you. Vance Bolter was Tim Walz's appointee. Josh Shapiro was attacked by a free Palestine guy. Paul Pelosi's attacker was some mental Canadian. What? Right. Like, I need a full bona fide right-leaning example, because every example that they gave was not. And it just seems kind of wild that they get away with that. I mean, yeah, we're going to find a way to kill each other with air. I'm for real. Tell me I'm lying. We'll find a way to kill each other with air. I mean, you want to see man's mental capacity improve? Give us nothing and we'll find a way to kill each other with telepathy, right? We'll find a way to do it because we're evil in our hearts. Stop playing. Stop playing. It's not the weapon. It's us. We are the problem. My name is Jason, dearwokec@gmail.com. If you don't understand, you don't agree, it's okay. You can be wrong. Let's go.
to accept gun violence and gun deaths as a natural byproduct of the freedoms that we have with our Second Amendment. And there was just a couple different things where people were making it seem like this was a symbolic victory for the left. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty adamant, and I don't shy away from how much I dislike the things that Charlie says.
If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, I wonder, is she there because of her excellence?
Those are some pretty bombastic statements. And again, I would disagree. I would want to hear the full context of why Charlie was saying that, but stop playing. If we stop pretending like what Charlie Kirk is saying was not a reality, that most of us, even the highly melanated, even black folk, think some of these things that Charlie was saying. We're just upset because a white man said it. That's all it is. That's what the problem is. So rather than pretend like, oh my gosh, clutching your pearls, why don't we just say, hey, is there any truth to what he said? Is there any truth to what Charlie said? And if not, then kick rocks. But let me just ask you a question, though. If you're saying that you're only hiring people because of their skin color, does that mean that you're hiring the best person? That's a very logical, reasonable question to ask. Because everybody would be in their feelings if they said they're only hiring white people. This company's DIE policy is to only hire white people. Y'all would be in your feelings. If they said this is the best qualified, most advanced pilot, y'all still would be in your feelings. So then why can you not be in your feelings when they say they're only hiring black folk? There you go. Or another ethnic group because of their skin color. But see, this is what I'm saying. Man thinks that we are able to pick right from wrong. This is another example. DIE is a byproduct of our sinful behavior. We think we know the best way to pick people. That's our sinful behavior. Because kind of like what the snake told Eve in the garden, you will be like God, knowing good from evil. Yeah, you got my point. We're following right along with our great grandmother in the lie that she believed from the first snake oil salesman ever in history. And guess what? We still chugging it down. That's the problem. So back to this. Let's get at it. Let's go. I'm pretty certain, Mountaintop Wolf, thank you so much for tapping in with me. I'm pretty certain, because I've been accused of taking people out of context, and sometimes I probably do. Okay, so I'm well aware there's a high probability that what this man was saying was not what was said. If we watched the whole thing, if it's 2 hours, an hour, whatever, I'm pretty sure we probably would come back from that saying, that wasn't really what he was trying to say. But even more than that, even beyond that part, where's the graciousness to actually hear somebody's argument out so that you can understand? Let me understand what you're saying so that I can make a decision, right or wrong, about what you're saying, rather than take something out of context and say Charlie is a particular racist or holds his view because he said something that all of us are thinking. And I'll just tell you, as a black person, a lot of us think these things. We just don't want to say it out loud. And we hate when white people say it. That's just it. My name is Jason, dearwokec@gmail.com.
I disagree with him on 1,000 different fronts. And I feel like I don't know why it's so hard to not hold that in one hand and in the other hand hold that's a human being, that's a father of 2 children, right? Like that both of those can fully coexist at the same time. And in some ways, I have a lot of respect for Charlie Kirk for being so open to debate, for being such an incredible organizer. Like, I think as someone who's interested in political organization, that's something that I've always found really admirable about him.
Can you find me a left-leaning person that does what Charlie Kirk does? I would love to see it. And if you could, dearwokec@gmail.com, a left-leaning Charlie Kirk that invites people to debate him or her, has these big rallies. The rallies are respectful. The rallies are entreating to people to come and disagree with them. I want to see that. And shout out, thank you so much again, MT, for the very kind, very gracious $5 super. And she added some more context to Charlie Kirk's comment about the black pilot. What did she say? She says this: I'm a black woman. Shout out to my sister. The black pilot thing was about the scandal where they were giving black applicants the exam answers to work in air traffic control. Hello? Is this not, would you not be worried if you heard that there was a scandal like this? Would you not be worried, dear melanated person, dear lightly melanated person, dear slightly melanated person? Wouldn't you be concerned? See? That's what I'm saying. Like some of the stuff that we're pushing, these narratives that we're pushing to justify our evil and wicked behavior, at the end of the day, is just nothing more than justifying our evil and wicked behavior. But it says nothing about Charlie. It says everything about you, everything about us. That's what it is. Was caught in a voicemail offering minority air traffic controller candidates a chance to cheat to make or break entry exam. Get out of Dodge. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, look, shout out to, thank you so much.
But like, he's about my age. He's got a 1-year-old boy. I've got a 1-year-old boy. I've got, we're about the same height. And like, I think about how that boy is not going to have any memories of his dad. And that to me is like that's everything. That's
they don't understand that outside of the TikToks and Instagram reels that they see of him disagreeing with what they believe is a father of 2 kids and a son of a mother, that their kids are going to bed tonight. His kids are going to bed tonight without a father, and his wife is going to bed without a husband.
Yeah.
And that to me is just, it's sickening. It's sickening to see that this is really what it's come to, and people really think that like this is what they have to do to get a point across.
Additionally, I mean, the conditions that created Charlie Kirk's views are still existent.
Yeah.
The undercurrents that led to all of the opinions you disagree with and that the left disagrees with. You can eliminate Charlie Kirk.
Okay, here comes the part where he says basically nothing was accomplished. But I do want you to think about this. What is the undercurrent that created Charlie Kirk? What is the undercurrent? Is it conservatism, the GOP, the NRA? No, it was Christ and Christ crucified. It was the gospel message. And I think this, I know the host right here is completely oblivious to this because they only look at it from a surface level. But no, his Christian ethic is what spurred him on into his conservatism. I did a video on Candace Owens calling her a Christless conservative because she doesn't represent Christ at all. The teachings that she espouses are completely devoid of Christ. And so her Catholicism has promoted a Christless conservatism. She could still be against all the things that the left are for, but it's not rooted in reality of who Christ is. It's in that this is probably the right thing to do, which most of us can understand and appreciate. But let's get finished.
But it doesn't take away the rhetoric that led to Charlie Kirk.
I think that's what's so irritating about this. Like, on the one hand, this is evil, this is tragic, this shouldn't have happened. On the secondary hand, if you're not even convinced by that first argument, it's also counterproductive. That doesn't even do anything. He's a conservative commentator. He doesn't even have, like, Trump has been given every opportunity right now to crack down on the violent left.
For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today.
And that, like, my whole point about making a video about how nonviolent we are only can exist if we stay nonviolent. It just doesn't solve anything either. Like, I don't understand how you walk away from that. Like, what did you solve at all? Everyone is now more angry and justified in their anger, or at least more so than before. And I just, I don't know. I get so angry at these wannabe activists, these assholes, these disturbing evil. I don't know.
I think that one of the key words is antisocial.
Sure. Yeah.
Notice he's talking about his team. He's not talking about me and you. He's not talking about Christians. He's talking about people that represent all those gross flags that are behind him. He's not talking about us. He's talking about his own team is producing nothing. I just want you to remember that. And now they're going to get into the pandemic is going to enter the chat.
And I'm not saying that, you know, I grew up around a bunch of violence, but I've seen shootings before.
Yeah.
I grew up, have lost people to gun violence, whether it be in the street or from police, a few people in high school and past that. So to me, it's something horrible, universally should be recognized as a bad thing. But there's this weird kind of antisocial undercurrent that I think is running through like early Gen Z, like 18 to 22. I'm not sure if it was because they were socialized during COVID and they missed like a bunch of formative years, but the things that they're tweeting about this situation and just their dissociation to like the horrific violent imagery, to be able to watch something like that and be like, hell yeah, that's dope. That indicates some kind of antisocial, psychotic, sociopathic disorder to me.
Sure. And like, whatever, when your belief basically ostracizes anyone who disagrees with you and you have no one left standing, it makes sense that you don't have a lot of connection. So maybe you lose that human value. I don't know if that makes sense.
Say it one more time.
Like, I think it's become very common now to cut off your parents or cut off your siblings if they say maybe the wrong thing or...
Let me, just real quick in the chat, what political party last Thanksgiving and last Christmas, last holiday season said, don't go to your family's Thanksgiving dinner. Don't buy gifts for your family if they voted a certain way? Which party was that? Which one was it? I don't remember. I'm having hallucinations. I can't remember. I have amnesia. Which one was it? Who said it? Don't buy gifts for your family members. Don't go to Thanksgiving dinner. Don't hang out with your family. Who said it? I don't remember. Oh, that's right. It was the Democrats. It was not us. There's no, come on. Like I guess this is gaslighting 101, a projection 203, whatever class they're in college. This is not us. They want us to believe that this is what we believed. They want us to believe that we were saying this. We weren't saying this. This was always y'all. Y'all were always the party of blood. Y'all the ones that don't believe that kids are kids. Y'all the ones that want to chop up little kids and turn them into little boys and turn them into little girls and little girls turn them into little boys. That's not us. Now we will eat the Second Amendment violations. We'll eat that. I think most of us admit that those are wrong. Y'all won't admit that chopping up little babies in their mother's womb is wrong. Y'all won't admit that deleting elderly people because they're a burden on society is wrong. Okay. But that was y'all. So y'all go ahead and eat that. Go ahead and get a big old heaping serving of that and eat that. Let's go.
Sort of come across things a little different. And, you cut these people off and then you go, you're left standing and you're an island. Mm-hmm. It makes sense that you're like, well, what is a father really?
And you guys were
all because y'all did that. This was so telling. This was so telling. We weren't doing that. We weren't saying cut off your loved ones because they voted for Kamala. Well, nobody. I don't remember saying that. I for sure didn't say that. I know people that voted for Kamala, and I didn't cut them off. But on the same note, they were saying, "I'm done with you, Jason, because you voted for Trump." I'm sorry. That wasn't us. And now y'all are out here saying we don't have family. We don't have anybody around us. We're going to buy a cat and die alone. That's your fault. We didn't do that to you. You did that. You made politics such an elevated area of importance that you cut off all of your loved ones, which, by the way, is violating the 10 commandments of honoring your mother and father. And I think a level of bearing false witness. Oh, yeah. And worshiping only the one true man. It's a lot of violations when you elevate politics. There's a lot of sin that you create. I digress. My name is Jason. DearWokeC@gmail.com.
18 to 22 range, right? Yeah. Is he a pretty popular figure among your guys' demographic?
Yeah, I mean, if you go on, especially TikTok, he's everywhere. So even though it's someone I've never met, it's someone who I feel like I've been almost consuming his content for a long time. Mm-hmm. And so it's a familiar face that we're losing, and he's someone that shares a lot of the same values that we share, religiously and politically in a lot of ways. And so he was very devoted, and you have to appreciate devotion because he was trying to build a better society for his family, his young family. And at the end of the day, people can have their opinions, and people do. There's extremists on both sides, but this is really an opportunity for everyone to kind of mend and realize what happened and mourn before we go on, and take a moment to realize what has happened and what we can do to prevent just certain things like this in the future. I mean,
it does.
Shout out to that young man. That dude right there. Goodness gracious. I have to admit, I didn't get this far in the video, so I'm touching it for the first time. That guy crushed it. Shout out to him. I have to give him a sound effect for that. That was right on the money. I noticed he mentioned that Charlie's faith. He mentioned Charlie's devotion, wanting to build a better society for his family. These are things that you don't hear the left talking about. You don't hear the left talking about family. You rarely hear them talk about it. And you know why, but no, shout out to that guy, man. Great. That was fantastic, man.
Sometimes feel like I am one of the few, definitely not the only, but certainly maybe a minority of the left that really cares still about life or family or America. I don't know.
No, it's a good point you made. Like, these political divisions have infected people's family dynamics, and it's become more important than those bonds. So you have...
Nope. Hold on, I gotta get my flag on the play. Sorry about that. I should have my little memes ready. Here we go.
Flag on each and every one of y'all.
Nope. Y'all tell me, show me a TikTok of a Trump supporter saying that they were not going to invite their left-leaning grandma or aunt or favorite cousin to the Thanksgiving dinner because they voted for Kamala or Bernie Sanders or they're left-leaning. Tell me that. And I will show you a plethora of left-leaning TikToks saying, don't go to your family member's house if they voted for Trump. That's not us. That is y'all. Y'all have to eat that. You better get you a big old spoon, put some seasoning on that joint. If you need some barbecue sauce, some Chick-fil-A sauce to dip it in, do it. But y'all going to eat that. We're not eating that because we didn't do it. No, we did not do that. That is not our behavior. You're not going to pin that on us. Y'all not going to beat these charges. So the family dynamic, y'all don't even know what a family is because y'all don't even know what a woman is. Right? Boy, go on somewhere, sit down.
You hear it all the time, especially if you're in like a hipster neighborhood. You hear someone be like, oh, my dad voted for Trump. He's such a piece of shit. I can't wait to chew him out at Thanksgiving, if they're even going. Whereas, it's not saying you shouldn't have a political discussion with your
like I'm honestly
uncle.
all for chewing out your dad if you disagree. Like, I don't know.
Chew out your dad, but don't abandon your dad.
Yeah.
See, but you can't do that. They're not taught how to have a civil discourse. I kind of want to bring in that Looney Tune cartoon from the 60s where the sheepdog and the fox are like, they clock in every morning. I kind of want to bring that in, but I don't want to get copywritten. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And they could be amicable, and we could disagree and be amicable and still be family. And say, yeah, Dad, you voted for Kamala. Get yourself on over here. Hey, Mama, come on, you got that macaroni and cheese? Come on, let's go. But they're the ones that did this. That's the part that is amazing to me. This is some high level, this is some collegiate level gaslighting. Dare I even say graduate level gaslighting? Because we weren't the ones doing this. Okay.
Especially if your dad's in like a Facebook QAnon hole. Try to figure out how he got there.
No, for sure.
Maybe if you can give him enough love where you can pull him out.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I do maybe genuinely feel, and like, whatever, conversation isn't everything, right? There's a lot more that comes to politics than just conversation. But like, Charlie was certainly onto something there that like conversation does fuel quite a bit of, fuels something that I think we've, I don't know, maybe discarded.
Do you think this is a...
Who discarded it though? I know I keep jumping in, y'all. Who discarded it though? Because I do it all the time. I say, I'd love to have conversations over here. And I've told people I'll drop the link for you if you want to come on. You can email me, dearwokec@gmail.com. We can have a conversation. I've given these people my phone number, for crying out loud. I got no problem having a conversation. Absolutely not. And I've said it time and time again, I'm willing to be wrong. All you gotta do is just prove to me that I'm wrong from scripture. That's it. See, these people are gaslighting in some epic level gaslighting.
Legitimate turning point for discourse in America, or do you think this is something that's just going to be remembered more as like an individual tragedy?
I really feel like it could go either way. I feel like if we're lucky, we can just kind of memorialize it and move on and be better from it. But I definitely have a pretty sick feeling that there's a lot of bad repercussions that are going to happen because of this.
Yeah, I think on both sides too. You make a martyr of somebody, I mean, people would do a lot to avenge them.
Nope. See, you want that to be the case. That dude is praying. I don't know if that dude is praying for somebody to avenge them. Nobody, as far as I know, I'm sure there are. I know there's somebody saying it. Nobody's saying avenge Charlie Kirk. I'm saying get out there and preach the gospel, as I say right here in Tertullian's quote right here. This is going to advance the gospel. I've said this on multiple podcasts since Wednesday. If the captain of our faith, big screen, if the captain of our faith was crucified as an innocent, sinless, spotless lamb, let me just let you know, Jason, I've got a hope in the world. I have no hope in the world. Why would I expect better for my life? Why would I expect different from my life, knowing who I am? Well, why? So nobody's saying this. This guy is just projecting that. This is some college level projection out here, y'all.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially the entire Republican side is, of course, not happy, and nobody should be happy. And the people that are have something wrong with them.
Yeah.
Really.
Do you know Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, I do.
And what do you think of what happened to him?
You know, sometimes revenge is a dish best served cold. I hate to...
He died in a world that he wanted.
Mother fucking animals! You liberal, progressive, deranged fucking animals! You are so hateful in your hearts.
Worst things have happened to people. And, you know, if you've turned a blind eye, you want us to erase the Confederacy, you want us to erase all these different things, but why should I have more sympathy for something that you don't know pain, really? If this is the worst thing you could think of, you don't understand what other people have gone through.
Do you think this could be a powder keg moment that starts like an internal major civil dispute between right and left?
Probably nothing more than what we've seen since 2020.
Same shit.
Yeah, same shit, different story. I mean, I don't think anything like, we had the George Floyd, we had the January 6th. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be anything more than that yet. Here's the only time we're going to have real civil disputes is when we are starving. Yeah. When we lose access to clean water, when we lose access to electricity, that's when things change. But right now, we're comfortable, right? Yeah. And that's ultimately, this is going to make people upset. Sure, it is going to create more tension between the left and the right. However, it's unfortunate that we even see in this two-party democratic system anyways.
Right. Yeah, it's a good point about basic necessities being met. Like, people can talk a tough game about Civil War, but until people are like, can't go to 7-Eleven, they're not really going to kill anybody.
Yeah. No. Yeah, it's just not going to happen because, like, it basically has to get to the point where you have more to lose by not doing anything than doing something, right? That's all. That's what it's going to take,
Do you think that events like this will make people more scared to interact with their political opposition in a public forum?
Sure. I mean, obviously, for sure. There was a protest there were two protests, one in Provo, one in Salt Lake. It was the No Kings protest. And I went, and my mom was so scared. She's like, do not go. Why are you doing this? And I was like, I have people that I care about who are, undocumented. Like, this matters to me. And then there was a shooter at Salt Lake and someone got killed.
Again, I'm just going to say it again. This is the left. Y'all go ahead and get you a good old spoon and a healthy dose of Lowry seasoned salt or whatever seasoned salt blend you use and eat this. This isn't us. This is not us. This is y'all. And shout out to MT. Charlie Kirk was a Confederate soldier? Hashtag time traveler. I've said this before multiple times. The live action role playing that people do to point back to the past to justify current and present day bad behavior is some nasty work that future generations, if the Lord tarries, will have to study. Because we're looking 150, 200, 250 years into the past to justify why you're acting like a complete and utter void surrounded by sphincter muscle in 4K today. That makes no sense at all. I've never understood it. I've tried my best not to play the game as well. And it's just completely and utter ridiculousness. Let's finish this up. Let's go.
In the middle of a No Kings protest that brought thousands of demonstrators downtown, sudden gunfire stunned everyone.
He fired several shots. The crowd dispersed. I got to cover.
And it's like, how can I really blame my mom? You know, like I can't be frustrated at that inclination to be terrified to go outside, to have some sort of discourse. Like sometimes I think about it. I'm like, I know someone who's right near the person who got shot at Salt Lake. I was right near Charlie Kirk, and my high school alma mater, the one that my brother went to, got shot while he was there. Like, it is crazy how many events I'm a part of, and I don't think I'm necessarily an anomaly for that. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of the point of the video that I was trying to make, was that when you have 6,000 data points of of mass shootings that happen in America, you could pick anything that you want out of that. Like that's an overwhelming amount of constant shootings that occur over and over and over and over again. And it's horrific that I was trying to point that out. And Charlie died.
Mm-hmm. Did the gravity of that situation immediately sink in for you? That you were the last person to talk to him?
Took a while, for sure. I was driving away. My wife and her sister and her mom were on campus, and they found us, and they drove away, and she turned to me and she said, you know you're gonna be on every news station in America tomorrow. And I was like I don't know if I realized it until right then that I was like, no, that was me. That was like, I don't know, maybe I'm just being paranoid, but I'm like, dude, I read too much.
So I just want to point out something, because I think I understand that the left doesn't like the Second Amendment. Last year, in 2023, 722 people, which is 722 many people, passed away because of Second Amendment, because of the second being a weapon being used. But in 2023 as well, 40,901 people passed away from cars. And I'm not trying to be flippant about it, but let's be so for real. If the biggest issue was you don't want to see people pass away, which, by the way, it wouldn't be the party of deletion of babies in the mother's womb, because that's in the millions. So y'all might want to be quiet. Shh, be quiet. But let's just pretend like y'all really were serious about deletions and of people. Why are you not going after cars? 41,000 people passed away because of cars last year. In 2023. Only 722, still too many, passed away from Second Amendment guns. I'm just wondering if you were really for real, which, by the way, I'm under no confusion that you are for real. I don't think that you really care, because you wouldn't be the party of deletion of babies in their mother's womb if you cared about life. So please forgive me for not believing that you really care. Now, you can have an argument with us about Second Amendment and taking care of the kid after it was born and blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. But at least the baby's alive. Catch me outside. DearWokeC@gmail.com. Let's finish.
Many comments on some video about me that was like, dude, this guy's in on it. He was asking about shootings right when the shooting happened. Like, let's go get this guy.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, every mass shooting or assassination is like a powder keg for conspiracy theories. Because everyone's paying attention. It's got all the elements that, there's an old Joseph Pulitzer quote that's, if it bleeds, it leads. And so everyone wants their own conspiracy. I've seen people blame every single type of person in the world for what happened.
Totally.
Let me tell you why I don't think it was a crazy leftist. Because there was hundreds of people there who had the same exact political views as Charlie Kirk, but they only killed one person. They only killed Charlie. If there was other people, like, well, you see with like a lot of deranged, like these transgender shooters who've been going around, they kill as many people as physically possible.
I don't think this guy is genuine. He's bringing out ideas that I don't think are actually genuine. I don't know the guy. I'm just making an assessment from listening to what he's saying right here. The argument that because they took out Charlie, they didn't take out more people, that's how you know it wasn't a leftist. That's the craziest take I've heard in my life.
This guy, whoever he was, had the leverage, the vantage point to take out as many people as he could have. But no, he just took one person. It was a one and done, and that was it. And that's why I don't believe it was someone who was a radical, like just a leftist radical acting upon his own. I think this was a professional job.
Yeah.
There is a tweet out there. I'm not sure who tweeted it. I could fact check it real quick. Who's talking about the Israeli government killing Charlie Kirk because he was having some second thoughts or something like that. I think that is a possibility.
You know, it's a possibility here. I'm gonna help y'all out. Look, my name is Jason. I like every now and then I got a little bit of tinfoil in my hat too, right? I'm okay with a conspiracy every now and then. I think conspiracies are kind of fun. So I'm gonna help you out. Here it comes. I'm gonna help all of y'all out. Come on up here to the front of the church. Come on. Get up here, get close. It's sin. There you go. I fixed the problem. You don't need to worry about conspiracies. You don't need to worry about if it was an inside job, an outside job. It was done midway between inside, outside. You don't have to worry about that. It's sinners doing exactly what sinners do, which is sin. I know. It's oversimplification. It's an oversimplification, Jason. Don't you know? You're right. It's oversimplified because it really is that simple. We are sinners. We rebel against God and we hate fellow image bearers. It really is that simple. But see, the problem is in order to resolve that issue, you have to deal with the sin. And we need someone outside of ourselves to deal with the sin. See, we're trying to fix ourselves from the inside, and therein is the problem.
Jeffrey Epstein was not a financier. He was not a hedge fund manager. Jeffrey Epstein was a key player in a multi-decade blackmail operation against the most powerful people on the planet.
Along with Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson changing their views on Israel. However, Charlie Kirk received quite a bit of money from AIPAC to support Israel interest in the United States.
I've been to Israel twice.
That's such an interesting take that he would have all of that information and he's just some bloke that they meet on the side of the road. I'm sorry. Again, I got my tinfoil hat on. I just don't like that guy said some of that stuff and he's putting it out there in the zeitgeist. He's putting it out there on the interweb, some stuff that is non-substantiated. You have no way of corroborating it. And he's just saying it. Okay.
Israel, the place. I love Israel as it protects access to biblical archaeology.
So hopefully, and it's not a good thing he's dead. I'm not going to say that, but hopefully he died because he came to his senses and did the right thing and put America's interest above Israel's, not the other way around.
What was the security situation on the ground there?
Here's the thing. There was huge pros and cons. Huge pro, a lot of security guards. A lot that were directing me in specific places. But the con is it was fully open. Like anyone could wander in. And also there's rooftop access at UVU, which is like I don't know. I think that the shooter is suspected to be a sniper on one of the roofs. For some reason, this makes people think that I'm in on it, that I was a mic or I was I don't even know what a mic is. I learned that term two hours ago.
What is it?
I don't know.
I think
it's like
is it like some sort of
I don't know. I kept saying
for liberal.
No. It was like I was shouting a call, and I said
Oh, like you had a code word?
Yeah, like
Oh,
I had
yeah.
a code word. And because I was talking about shooting, so they're like, that's
Like,
gotta be
time to
it.
go.
And I also said I said great right after responding to him. And I think I don't even know why I said great. I think I was just like,
It's a high pressure situation.
yeah.
Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
Well, I was like, maybe it was just like, let me think about this for
It's
2
like
seconds.
being on stage during a talent show when you're a kid.
Yeah.
You
I'm
think you're gonna kill it, but you don't know what's gonna happen once you get up there.
And it's like I try to be prepared for sure, but it's like stalling technique maybe, or
Yeah.
like, I mean, I knew what I was gonna say next. I was whatever.
How do you think we can prevent things like this in the future?
Well, first of all, I
Yeah, that's my hero. This guy right here in the gray shirt, I don't know who he is. He got them joggers on. You know, I don't like joggers, but this guy is my hero for sure.
I'd say that a very respected leader in our community said that conflict is inevitable, but contention is a choice. And we're helping ourselves when we choose to not be offended. So respectful and civil dialogue in social, civic, and religious circles is not just going to help us from the outside in, but from the inside out.
What do you think could have been done to prevent this situation?
I don't know. Because I'm always so worried. I'm such a math nerd sometimes that I'm like, well, this was still a statistical outlier. Like, and maybe it was. Maybe I think everyone always has these answers, but it's also like we have the least amount of violence than we have ever had in the history of Earth right now. We are probably doing something right. 300 years ago, every country was at war constantly. Until like World War II, where we're like, let's freeze this. We gotta just chill the fuck out. And like, whatever, it's not perfect by any means. There's absolutely more work we can be doing. But like, everyone who has all these answers, I mean, Charlie's answer was like, let's bring back up mental asylums. I'm like, I don't know if that worked in the 1800s. Like, I think you're scrambling just as much as we are. Like, I'm not trying to pretend like I have these answers on how to fix all this. Maybe it is that there are insane people. There was the, I'm sure you know about the stabbing of, that Charlie was talking about a lot. That was his last tweet. It was the stabbing of someone on the.
It was on the light rail in Charlotte.
Yeah. And they're like, dude, they should have locked him up. And then you look at his priors. He's like, okay, well, he was in jail for like 7 years. Should we have just like thrown away the key? Like some of these.
Yes. He had some problems and needed to be put away.
These priors are like, he stole some things. Should we just lock him up then? How do we prepare?
He had 13, or was it? He definitely had more than 10. Sir, he doesn't want to be a part of society. Therein is the rub. It's okay to say that. He didn't want to be a part of society. His own mother, the woman to whom he was birthed, said he did not need to be a part of society. I think we're going to take mama for that. Mama for 200.
Like, I don't know if the answer is we should just be okay with knowing that there are completely antisocial people who walk amongst us and might lash out at any moment. But I don't know what we should be doing about that, and I haven't seen a compelling answer.
I mean, one thing that I've heard is like more readily available psychiatric services.
Sure.
Gun reform.
Sure.
Mass buybacks.
Yeah.
That doesn't fix one thing. That's not going to fix one solitary thing. And again, these are humanists, so they believe that the solution is within us. I am a Christian, and I recognize that the solution is outside of me. And all of the solution is outside of me. I only bring the problem. And that is the problem, is that they think they could actually provide a solution.
I'm in favor of all of those things, but I also know in my ideal world where I have all of the policies, I'm sure that a stabbing could happen. Like maybe that's just the world that we have to live in, but also that seems like an extremely, that doesn't sound like the right answer either.
Right.
So I don't know. I think I get frustrated with the sin of certainty.
As in, like, I have the solution. If we do this, things like this won't happen again.
You know why the sin of certainty is a problem? Because it sounds like the serpent. We cannot be certain. That is the experience of being a human. We're not certain. Now, there's certain things that God has put in place that today is Saturday and tomorrow, if the Lord willing, and the sun rises, it'll be Sunday. That's a certainty that we can get with. But the things that we do, there's this unknown variable. It's called humans and our sinful, sick, sin-depraved mentality. That's the problem.
Watched it like in a movie recently. I just really like that term, the sin of certainty.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it was Conclave. It was a pretty good movie.
Oh,
yeah,
I like that.
I don't know. And like, whatever. I respect a lot of Charlie. I'm so sad. He was a very certain person, and I disagreed with that. I think that we can move forward a little bit more uncertain.
I think we should have less gun laws, not more. I know people disagree with this. I even think that we should bring back, public executions on certain people. No, but think about it. I think that, and you guys should laugh, it should be public.
No, I know that. Look, there are certain, people want to refer to the old way that things were done, but please understand for example, the R word, grape, that was an executable crime. Okay, there are some crimes. I don't understand why we just let these people live indefinitely. So I do think that there needs to be a discussion, a honest discussion about why are we hesitant to do what needs to be done to put away people from society that truly don't want to be a part of society.
It should be quick. It should be televised. By the way, you could fund the government
to watch it.
You could have brought to you by Coca-Cola.
You're stupid. So stupid.
I definitely saw a lot of his enemies, his political opponents, instantly spun it into an issue of gun reform, which I think in theory sounds cool. But I mean, we have 380 million Americans. I think we have more than 400 million guns already in civilian hands. So this whole idea of even reforming that, guns are here to stay. And there's counties and states that are always going to have guns available at gun shows and at pawn shops and gas stations and Walmarts and flea markets. And that's just the truth. And you can't walk back something that's so deeply embedded into our culture.
Right.
So that's a very sin of certainty thing where it's like, oh, there's a big shooting, gun reform.
Totally.
Let's advocate for it. It's like, what?
Yeah.
The guns are already here.
Right.
You could
and it's as much as I love to talk about mandatory buybacks, I think that sounds really good and it worked for a lot of countries. But also, it's like, dude, have you met some of these Americans? Like, you are asking for a Waco, Texas in every county in America.
Totally.
But no, see, that's the part I don't like. I really don't like that you villainize law-abiding citizens because they know that they have a Second Amendment right. And no, they're not willing to give you their gun or let you buy it back or anything of that nature. No. Why don't y'all go get the guns from the criminals? Why don't you do more and work harder? Because please understand, it's not law-abiding citizens that you're having this discussion with. It's just not the case. The vast majority of gun violence is from people who are criminals. Deal with them. We're not talking about homeowners. What gets sensationalized is homeowners. What gets, and they mentioned it earlier, if it bleeds, it leads. That gets your attention. But please understand, stop playing. It's not us. It's not it's not law-abiding gun owners. It's criminals. Deal with the criminals. Leave us alone. Because, see, they know that we're the ones that you can find. See, that's the problem. Y'all go out there and dig in them weeds and find them gun owners that ain't those persons possessing guns that ain't supposed to have them. Y'all go deal with them. Don't worry about us. We're not the ones. I don't know what I did with my video. Oh, here it is right here.
See, with our ARs, we're citizens. Without them, we'll be slaves. They're not assault weapons. They're sporting weapons. It's necessary to protect my family from tyrannical government.
Why do you think there are so many mass shootings?
Because that's what's on the agenda for the left.
I don't know. Not like I have a better answer, right?
Okay, good.
Like I do think that having more guns than Americans in America is probably going to be, we're going to be a little bit more prone to gun violence and mass shootings. And that's terrifying. But also, I don't know what the answer is. And like, I think that people just have these easy answers.
Why is guns the issue? If again, you're concerned about people's lives, more people die from cars than guns. I'm just saying. And this was mass shootings that I asked, 722 people. I mean, we could talk about, gun violence and just generalized gun violence as well, but still 41,000 people in the year 2023 passed away because of cars. 40,000 in 2024. Sir, ma'am, that's 80,000 people. That's 1,000% more than the people that passed away because of guns, mass gun. I'm just saying, if we're really going to be serious, if the blood cult of the Democrat Party is really truly about life, they're going to have to deal with some other things well before they get to guns. Well before. They're going to have to get to sugar before they get to guns. Okay? They might have to get to air. Catch me outside.
Without thinking of the like larger implication. Like, for example, someone said recently, like, I was talking to this guy, this really good friend of mine. I don't want to shit talk him too hard, but he was like, yeah, the answer is pretty simple. Just like, don't give guns to mentally unwell people. And I'm like, okay, gotcha. If someone has a gun, then they're not going to seek psychiatric help, because the moment they get diagnosed with anything, they'll take away their guns. So you are discouraging people from seeking help. And he was like, well, that's not what I meant. I'm like, I know that's not what you meant, right? Like, I get that. But also these things are hard, and
we can't fix, we're not able to resolve it. That's the thing. All of this internal consternation that this guy is espousing is because he's trying to fix an internal problem with an internal solution, and is failing to realize that we are the problem. We're the problem. We're sinners, and we keep on doing exactly what we do. Sin against God and against man. That's it. It really is that simple. Shout out to Willie Doc, my brother in the building, with the $2 super. Thank you so much, brother. Good to see you, man. Grace and peace to you, friend. That's a good brother of mine. Thank you so much. I mean, come on. They're not going to beat this charge. You can't beat this charge, DNC. I'm sorry. You cannot beat this charge. You are the party of the death cult. That's it. You can't beat that. You can try to project it on us because we own guns all you want to. All these 50,000 quadrillion million guns that we own, guess what? We're not out there doing the stuff that y'all doing. Y'all delete more babies wholesale than anything else. Catch me outside.
I don't know what the answer is. Very often.
There's a big problem too, where everybody wants to be right, especially when you have reactionaries and commentators and ideologues with their own social media platforms, and so they're rushing to have the hottest take.
Sure.
And I saw it in a little micro way, like whenever I dropped the Hunter Biden interview. It was just like conservative media, including Charlie Kirk and the president of El Salvador and Bill O'Reilly and all these people that seemed like larger than life to me at the time, were moving in lockstep. Like, one person sets the narrative, like, he's using the F word a bunch and he's talking about crack, and they all follow that thing.
Totally.
And I saw it happen so fast with Charlie, and it just felt so selfish to me as a news consumer. I'm just like, why is everyone rushing to like announce this as fast as possible and figure out how to make this situation serve their agenda? Totally. I took a great course in college called The Sociology of Disaster. And a similar thing happens during natural disasters. Katrina, Hurricane Helene. When something bad happens, different political agendas latch on to certain details of it, and they use it to run their own little mini news cycle. And I feel like you'll kind of be able to cut through that for people because you're just a guy who was there. Sure. And so, are you doing okay?
Dude, I don't know. I remember thinking walking away from that, like, dude, that's a memory that I'm never going to forget. That's happened crazy. 10 seconds ago. Like, I remember thinking that walking away. I'm like, that's a thing that I cannot forget. And it's a very weirdly like prescient thing to be thinking about as I'm trying to find my wife in the crowd of people. But like, I was thinking that, and it was hard. Like, I was definitely trying to like, I was keeping it in, and we got a call from the hospital that we had to go see my daughter like 2 seconds after we were sitting in traffic as everyone was piled in. Wow. It's like, oh, now we got to go to the hospital. And I get there and I misread the charts and I think that she's doing a lot more poorly than she is. And I'm like, I like break down in the hospital. I'm like, I don't think that I can handle the day. Like I feel like an emotionally put together person, but like I don't think that this is a thing that anyone can do. And then the nurse is like, oh, that's not what that is. And I'm like, oh, okay, she's fine. I'm okay.
You know what? And I'm gonna give this guy, I'm trying to give this guy grace because I don't think he's a bad guy at all. He just disagrees with me on a lot of viewpoints. But I think the Christian worldview allows for what this guy is dealing with and processing in a way that you don't have to internalize it and have to have the resolution in and of yourself. I'm just saying. But shout out to MT. What did she say here? Thank you. How about a law that says if a firearm is purchased in your name and used to commit a crime, you bear some of the responsibility? There you go. And watch, because we already currently have the law. If I loan my car to you, MT, I'm going to assume that you don't do this, but you smuggle gerbils from south of the border. So if you borrow my car and you go south of the border and you load it up full of gerbils and you smuggling those gerbils into the United States, you are going to get arrested for illegal gerbil possession. And guess what's going to happen to my car? It's going to get impounded, and I am going to be held responsible for that to some degree. Now, if you get into a wreck, if you get into an accident, getting chased by the police because you got all these gerbils, guess what? Same thing. My insurance is going to be dinged because of that. So maybe they could add a layer to it. But even more than that, if your weapon was stolen, you don't bear responsibility because it's stolen. So even though that stolen weapon is now out there on the streets and you bought it legally, but it's out there somewhere in the zeitgeist, you're not responsible for that. So when something happens to it or is used in a crime and whatnot, it's not your fault. It's the person that used it's fault. So I think we could be more honest about what's going on rather than just blaming people left and right and center. And I think that's what the problem is. They want to blame us gun owners for it when it's not us, it's those criminals. So great question. Thank you so much for the very kind $5 super as well. And then thank you, Mountaintop. Wolf says, respect, brother. Thank you so much for that. $2. I really appreciate it. Let's keep this going. It's almost done, I promise.
Okay. But I definitely feel the preciousness of life today. Just like one person with a bad idea and your existence is out. And that's a lot to feel. And I felt it particularly strongly today.
Do you think a lot of things that Charlie has said would have created the desire for someone to want to kill him?
Of course I can understand being frustrated with Charlie Kirk. I am all the time. I think that he spread harmful rhetoric.
Y'all, we might have to go. I'm trying not to go slow on this. It's interesting watching the facial consternation, and you can see this guy is really wrestling with what he's saying, because I think deep down inside, he knows what Charlie was saying, albeit he disagreed with it, is not wrong. He just knows that the problem is him, that he is the one that's the problem because he disagrees with it, not what Charlie is saying is bad. I think that's what it is, because he just says rhetoric, he just says this, that, and the third. But what did Charlie say that specifically you felt was causing this kind of response? I would love for the host to ask him that. But I'm going to say this. Shout out to MT again. Require theft to be reported immediately. Absolutely. I do believe, don't quote me on this, I do believe that there is you must report the theft of and every time I've heard of a weapon being absconded by somebody, stolen, it's usually pretty quick. Nobody wants their gun out there without it being properly, they know where it is. And I have a friend who has a gun. I hate to say gun closet, but it's a gun basement, and he's got quite a few of them. And every last one of them is reported. Everybody knows where they are. If something were to happen to him, he's reporting it immediately. So I don't think I do think there's some kind of level of responsibility when you get your when you get your permit to be able to say that if something happens to it, I'm going to report it within 24 hours or so many hours of learning that my house has been broken into and my weapon has been removed. Okay, let's get done.
I don't know if I'm going to shy away from that. My record is pretty clear on that. Yeah. But I do believe in the same things that he believed in.
See?
In a very narrow context, which is, I think that having conversations is the best path forward. Genuinely. I don't know why we gave up on this idea. I think people notice that debates, they're not just gonna change their mind as soon as the debate ends. I'm like, okay, but I do believe 1,000 straws on a camel's back.
Never heard that.
At some point, if they hear enough conversations and things that influence them, they will get pulled in a direction. I used to be extremely conservative.
For real?
Yeah. I grew up Mormon. I grew up I didn't grow up in Utah. I grew up in California actually. Grew up in LA, but I moved here because I wanted to go to BYU. I really believed in the Mormon Church, and then I just kind of strayed away from it. But I was hardcore Romney fan.
Oh, because he's a Mormon.
Yes,
and he's chill kind of.
There's a loyal following here, and I was for sure part of that. And then I was like, let me see if there's any other ideas. And I was like, and I saw this article that was a response to Ben Shapiro's attacks on transgender people, and it was it detailed a lot of these thoughts. I'm like, I didn't know that. I genuinely thought they looked down and they went, oh, that's not a penis, that's a vagina. And then had that psychosis in their head and then move forward with their lives. And that's genuinely what I thought. I'm like, well, if that's the case, these people are psychotic and maybe they should be in mental hospitals. And then I was like, oh, that's actually not how they interact with the world at all. They're actually pretty coherent thoughts and make a lot of sense. And I just needed to hear their perspective. And as soon as I heard it, I'm like, that's confusing for me, maybe, but way more reasonable than I thought it would be. And I don't know, I remember a lot of those trickle points where I started shifting.
So I made this point that you can be a conservative and not be a Christian. And this is a classic example of a Christless conservatism. So he held these conservative views and they weren't rooted in the reality of who God is. And let's just tell the truth. Mormonism is completely bonkers. Okay. And I apologize if you're a Mormon or Seventh-day Adventist. That stuff is completely crazy. All right. But back to my point, it wasn't rooted in reality. So he was able to be swayed by an article about Ben Shapiro caused you to second guess your faith and start questioning your, okay. All right. I got you.
More left. And I do believe that people can go on the same journey that I went on. And Charlie did too, just in the opposite direction. And I respect the hell out of him for that, for really, that was his goal.
Yeah. I kind of always...
I can't beat this charge. Shout out, first of all. Yeah, you got to smuggle. Look, you were smuggling gerbils. Come on, come fess up. Come on up here to the front of the church. Thank you for the $2 super MT. You know what, Eric? I do think he is fighting against his indoctrination. I do believe it. Because I can't imagine if I were there that I would be going through all of this internal navel gazing and consternation about what I'm saying. He just sounds like he's very conflicted, extremely conflicted about what he's saying. Whether he believes it, whether he agrees with it, I don't know, but he sounds conflicted, super conflicted. I'm sorry. I think he's having a crisis there.
Thought it's good to have conversations, but for some of that college campus content, I feel like they were just pulling up to
I hear that.
dunk on a bunch of kids.
I'm not trying to disagree with that.
Got out of their first social justice theory class,
exactly.
So he can be like,
I 100% hear you. And
how much fentanyl was in George Floyd's blood when he died?
100%. And yes, there is for sure. I was very critical of the fact that he would just debate college kids who were freshmen and 19. Come on, there are better, competent things out here. I don't know if I told you this. I was actually I was booked to be on Jubilee to debate him, Charlie Kirk, in 2 weeks from today. And I want to make sure that it's clear that I disagree with him, but also, holy shit, that's a person. And I don't know, like.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I think that this came across pretty clear.
Okay.
So
I think it is right to engage young adults. Young adults, that college age group and pre-college, and dare I say right after college, let's just say that whole 8-year cohort, the sophomores in high school all the way up to 2 years out of college, that cohort, they're just a weird group. And the adults are not engaging with them. They're not being shepherded. They're not being discipled by adults, by older people who can walk alongside these young men, older women who can walk alongside these young women, older couples who can walk with these couples and show them the way. So they're just trying to figure it out. And yeah, they're cantankerous. Yeah, they're problematic. Yes, they get on your nerve and they overtalk you and all that kind of foolishness. But my hat's off to Charlie because he was willing to engage them. Most of us are like, I don't want nothing to do with them. And we just didn't deal with them. And they're in our churches. They're your baristas at Starbucks. They're at your grocery store. They're in your families. And we're not engaging with them. Charlie was willing to engage with them. And they have been indoctrinated. They have bought into ideas and philosophies and ideologies that are completely damnable. But he was willing to do it. And I think now, because of what has happened this week, more of us are going to get involved and get into the fray and get in there and mix it up with them. And let's see what happens. All right. This is almost the end. I apologize. It's like 3 minutes left.
Jubilee. I just did 20v1.
You were the one?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
It was like me versus 20 conspiracy theorists. And I don't know if they thought I don't know if it's going to come out because I think they thought I was some kind of like misinformation watchdog. So they got me with all these like alien conspiracy theorists. I was like, sounds tight. And they pulled me aside and they were like, you need to push back. I was like, why?
It's so not you.
Yeah. They're like, can you just offer some counterpoints? I'm like, bro, I want the earth to be flat. It sounds better. Because that means God's real. There's a firmament. So I really don't think it's ever going to come out, dude.
That's so funny.
I was just vibing with everyone. By the end, I was like talking to everybody. It was like a month ago.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how long their editing process is, but they were pissed at me by the end.
That's so funny. I had some people, I knew some, it was about a month. Well, I think I knew someone who was on Jubilee and they were saying that like they got emails about when it would come out, and if you haven't gotten that, it's probably not coming out soon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we'll see, dude. Well,
we'll find out.
I think you did a great job, man. Thanks for the interview.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to God and shout out to you guys, man. Thank you for the interview. Appreciate you guys for your time. Our show's called Channel 5 if you want to check it out. Channel 5. Yeah, have a good one, y'all. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Okay, grace and peace to them.
That 22-year-old Tyler Robinson from Washington County, Utah, is now under arrest in the Utah County Jail for the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Wow. All right, y'all. That was all right. So that was Channel 5. Let me make sure I put the link down in the description. I'll put the link in the description of this video. I'll make sure I put it in there. And they did the interview with the last guy that was debating Charlie Kirk, which is just, wow, what a dubious honor to hold. Like, I was the last guy to talk to him voice to voice before he passed away. That's crazy talk. But I thought that was really interesting. And I do think that, shout out to Channel 5 News. I'll make sure I put that link. I'm grabbing it right now so I said I was going to do it, and I got to make sure I do it because otherwise I'll forget because I'm old. But I thought that was a very interesting. Y'all let me know what you thought about it. I want to say that I do think that good dialogue and discourse, I got no problem with pushback. I want to say that 1,000 times again. I have no problem with pushback. Y'all are welcome to push back on me because I don't have everything in order. My wife and kids will tell you that in a heartbeat. Okay, yeah, I just put it in there so I can remember it. I'll go back and edit it later. But I appreciate pushback. I appreciate getting some clarity from people that think differently than me. I don't think that executing those who disagree with you is the right avenue to travel. Because then where do you get conflicting ideas? Where do you get different thoughts? Where do you get different ideas from if everybody thinks just like you or is afraid to voice an opinion that's contrary to yours? That makes no sense at all. None whatsoever. Yeah, I think what I do think that we are in a place now where we've siloed our generations to the point that very rarely would somebody my age, 51, engage in a conversation with a 15-year-old. I have a 15-year-old and she's pretty smart and I like having conversations with her and we have a good time. But her cohort of mutual people, I don't want to mess with them. I have an 18-year-old. She's in college now. And again, I love talking to her. I like talking to her friends. Her friends are pretty smart kids. It's good to have a rap, but I just couldn't imagine wanting to sit around and talk to them all the time. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I need to get out of my little shell and get out there and talk more to them and engage with them and have that, hey, prove me wrong type of moments. And like, hey, I disagree with you. Let's go. And be willing to have dialogue. And it don't have to be combative. It don't have to be throwing things or spitting or yelling or acting crazy. But on the same note, you're wrong about this. Let's argue it out. Let's flesh it out. Let's talk about it and such like that. So I think it's good. So thank you so much. I think we as elders or older people, I don't know if I qualify as an elder, but we definitely need to be willing to do that. We have some Supreme Court justices that don't know how to define a woman. That is frightening. I think it's ideology. It's just ideology. And because of their ideology, they have idolatrized their ideology to the point that they will literally lie to themselves and bear false witness. I believe Ketanji Jackson Brown was lying when she said she could not define a woman. She was lying. That was bearing false witness. She was lying. She could define a woman because I guess she's been a woman for what, better than 50 plus years? And she was lying. She was lying, but she elevated her ideology and made it an idol. And she had to worship at the foot of her ideology rather than worshiping the true and the living God and the reality of who he's made her to be. That's it. My name is Jason. She was a liar. Shout out. You didn't know I was real? You didn't know I was real? You thought I was fake? Shout out for sure, Copeland. Good to see you, friend. Good to see you. Always good to see you. Thank you. Appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, I think she was picked for a reason. Because she's a black woman. And if you go against her, you're going against the black woman. There you go. It's really an indefensible position. Hence why Kamala Harris was made the vice president. And it's such of that nature, because if you go against her, you're going against a black woman, which, by the way, Kamala Harris was not a black woman, but I digress. Yeah, this is a bad situation to be in, Shelby, because what we're dealing with, and let's just be honest. I know this is going to hurt your feelings if you're a leftist. So come on up here to the front of the church so you can hear it clearer. Come on up here to the front. Come on up here. Left-leaning people are just big toddlers. That's all they are. They're just big 3-year-olds. And the world is a cereal aisle at Kroger or Publix or wherever you get your cereal from. And they're just pitching a fit on the floor. And sadly, a lot of us don't want to be embarrassed. We don't like the fact that the child is pitching a fit, kicking and screaming and acting ridiculous. So we'll do just about anything to remedy this problem, to get the people stop looking at me. It's not my child kicking and acting crazy. So we'll do just about anything. And sometimes that's lie to them. Sometimes that's give in to the little micro terrorists, whatever it might be. But really what needs to happen is the stern no. And the truth of the matter needs to come forward. So sadly, a lot of these, let's just tell the truth, man. Somebody is willing to do what that gentleman did on Wednesday. Come on, tell me that's an adult behavior. Tell me that's an adult, a well-adjusted adult who understands how to deal with disagreements in a way that's mature. No, it's a child. It's childlike behavior. And so when we see this kind of stuff like that, most of us need to be willing and just have to accept the fact that we're telling people some tough things and some tough seasons and they don't want to hear it, but it's going to be the reality. This is going to hurt, but it's reality. One of the problems I think, and this is the only pushback I think with Charlie Kirk's methodology. And I know people, oh man, Jason about to say something wrong with Charlie. Charlie was wrong. Okay, this is my thing. It's really hard to disciple and to walk alongside and really get into the weeds. Because look at the guy that was in this video. Y'all saw it. He was really in the weeds, right? And he I mean, his living room with all them crazy flags around it. But you see that he has a 1-year-old child. Like, dude, what the heck is wrong with you? Like, it's really hard for you to do that on a mass scale. And really, truly, he needs somebody to sit in his living room with him and argue this stuff out with him every Wednesday. Every Friday night, we're going to sit over here, eat wings, drink some non-adult beverage, and we're going to argue this out until we figure this out. Because, dude, you're insane. But he needs somebody to disciple him and walk alongside him. That's what he needs to do. He needs a church community. I say this all the time. Like, you can't do this apart from a church community. You need somebody who's willing to sit alongside you and really walk alongside you. And Charlie's method is great for addressing a large group of people. But once that large group of people leave and they're all conflicted and they're turned over because they know they've been shown the mirror of truth that what they believe is crazy, they don't have anybody to walk with them. That's the only problem. That's the only problem. In my opinion, they need some people to come alongside them, to work with them, walk with them, help them to get through, because they're going to be going through some internal shenanigans, right? That's what I think needs to happen. But that's my only pushback. And it's not even a pushback. It's just recognizing what happens afterwards. What's the next step after that? Kind of like when they I don't support these. I don't like these. But when you have these concerts or these large churches. I don't go to a large church. I go to a very small church. But you have these large churches and they do these altar calls and all these people raise their hand or they come up to the front and they don't really know what to do after that. Because I was smoking weed on the way to church. I was doing this, that, and the other with my live-in boyfriend, girlfriend before I came to church. What do I do next? And there's not really a good next step program or what to do after you've been confronted with the truth of the gospel. Now, okay, because I was on my way to the bank and I was about to go rob it. Like, what do I do next? I don't know what to do. So to me, there's not a good next step. And that's the only thing I think could, and maybe Turning Point could add a better next step program to it, or better, some more robust. And I don't know, maybe they did have some good ones. I don't know, but you got my point. I hope that makes sense. Hey there, my favorite vegetarian. How are you doing? Being called names versus saving life in a person you speak the truth seems more of a priority. No argument for me at all, Shelby. Their pacifiers, technology, and appearance of being enlightened. I agree with that 100%. This is some sound. Thank you so much. I think we need to look at how do we provide, because I don't believe the church needs to become a social club. By no means a measure. The church is not a social club. It is a gathering of those who have been called out of the world to gather together to worship the one and true living God, to hear the proclamation of his word, the preaching of the gospel, the administration of the sacraments, and to go back out there and do great things for Christ. But when you go out there and do those great things for Christ, those can look like supporting Turning Point USA. Those can look like having a really great auto detail shop that you hire college students and train them up so they can go and do that as well in other places. It could be a lot of different ways, but the church doesn't need to be those things. It's the people of the church that does those things. A lot of people don't like that I hold that position, but that's okay. I'm fine with that. But that's the position that I hold. The church is not supposed to be a social activation symposium. So all those things that you see, like Jamal Bryant's church doing, Stillbirth here in Atlanta, it's not supposed to be doing those things. That's why it's completely ineffective. That's why he has people in his church, himself included, that are just as bad and just as unregenerate as anyone else, because you've embraced an idea that you're supposed to be doing things that the church is not supposed to be doing. My name is Jason, dearwokesy@gmail.com. Yeah, I mean, this is it. And I know people, I am a Calvinist, so I do believe in the total depravity of man. Like, we totally just overlooked that fact. Like, and sure, that little person, they're just as sweet and as beautiful and as cute as you want them to be, but they are actually evil in their hearts. That doesn't take away from the fact that they're cute. It just means that they're evil in their hearts. And we know this as they get older, and if they don't get what they want, they become, as Vodi Bakum called them, a viper in a diaper. And like, let's just be so for real. Like, we recognize that, man, these rascals can be pretty bad. They can be pretty vile. And the only way is not a resolution of, work harder to fix yourself, but rather come to the cross and allow Christ to fix you. That's it. I agree to an extent. Charlie also was notoriously known for staying in touch with a lot of people that he spoke to, especially younger middle-aged crowd. But that's a small piece of the whole. No, and hear me, I don't know all of Charlie's interactions. So I was only saying, like, if we go back and look at that crowd of people that was there at the University of Utah State University, if we look at that crowd of people, that's a lot of folk. That was easily 3,000 people, easily. And was there a way for those 3,000 people, if they were having any kind of reconsidering, man, you know what, I was really challenged in my thought process about this. Who do I talk to next? Is there any kind of system in play to catch them? That's all I was wondering. But I'm not saying Charlie didn't do it. It's just the fact that Charlie couldn't disciple all 3,000 people, even if he wanted to. So that's all I'm trying to say. Yeah, we need somebody next to us, side by side, to walk alongside us. If you've been married for 10 minutes, you have needed somebody to walk alongside you. Granddad, grandma, an aunt or uncle, your own parents, somebody, your best friend from college or whatever. You've needed somebody to walk alongside you. And I'm telling the truth. All you need to do is be married for 10 minutes. You know it. All right. Well, we got a good conversation going on in the chat. I love the conversations going back and forth, but no, that's no compassionate and empathetic for people who are bent towards violence. No, I agree. But I think, like, watching this gentleman here in this video, let me see if I can pull it back in without causing, okay, good. All right, this guy right here, I don't think this guy is given to violence. I don't know him from a can of paint. I don't think he's given to violence. I just think he needs somebody to challenge him. He's got numbers and statistics on the side. I got scripture. Let's go. And let's parse through this. And he needs somebody to sit in this living room with him with these stupid flags. And he has a 1-year-old. I got an 18-year-old. I got a 15-year-old. I've done this. I've been married for 23 years. I've been married longer than this dude's probably been alive. So I'm willing to get in the fray and talk through this with him. Like, come on. But I think that's where we need to, that's where, if anything comes from Charlie Kirk's assassination, is that we, myself included, need to be willing to get in the fray with people like this. Because I don't think he's a violent person. Again, just looking at him, I don't think he's violent. But hey, anything can happen, right? But I do think he needs somebody to walk through him and talk with him and challenge his thoughts and really push him to reconsider and to think about what it is that he's believing ultimately about Christ. Because all the other stuff we can figure out. We'll figure that out. We can knuckle that out until Christ comes back. But his understanding of Christ definitely needs to be challenged. Yeah, shout out. Thank you, Eric. You have my brain formulating ideas for works outside of the church. I was set free when I realized that everything that we do as Christians is for the glory and honor of Christ. We don't have to sit around here and say, God, is it your will that I do this, that, and the other? He's already said be married. So if I pick my wife 24 years ago, I picked her to marry. Guess what? That was the right decision. And we are still together. I don't know how she puts up with me, but we got 2 beautiful daughters. I don't need to ask God, God, is it your will that I disciple my daughters and help them to become good women so they can boy, get yourself in there and do. God is probably saying this. When I'm praying that, this is what God is saying to me. Hold on, get myself together. Here, this is what God's saying.
Boy, if you don't get...
That's what I'm saying. Like, get out there and do it. You don't have to ask anything else. If you have a business, do you need to ask God, should you grow your business so that you can hire some, there's a homeless man that lives in the woods behind your church, and you want to hire him to do some work in your business so that he can actually have a job and be gainfully employed. Do you really need to hear from on high about that? No, go do it for the honor and glory of Christ. Now, be sensible, do some background checks, have some fails and some fail safes in place. But no, after that, it's do it for his glory and his honor. There you go. You know what? I was set free by that. So I love it. Thank you so much. I need to get myself together. What's Alicia saying here? Alicia, for sure. Where's Alicia say? Right here. I'm definitely struggling with forgiveness in all this. I used to try and have conversations with others that seem to go nowhere. It's hard when you try to be genuine and they don't seem to. I think you're saying, pray for me. It's rough out here. You know what, Alicia? I agree with you. And if you were sitting here in my office with me, I would say, don't engage with people. At this moment right now, it's too raw. It's too emotional. Don't engage with people. Go engage with scripture. Go engage with your church community, your family. Go touch some grass. Go do something else. Do not, if somebody wants to talk about Charlie Kirk or something else like that, yeah, let me go the other way. Just leave it alone. Because I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Because if you're not willing, and I'm sorry if you're not willing, sorry about that. Strike that. If you're not able to give a good balance, and you don't think that you're able to give a good balance, emotionless response to somebody's shenanigans, then there's no reason, there's no benefit. Don't put yourself in that predicament. That would be my admonishment to you. Now, on the same note, I would say, hey, let's go talk to some people to help you out, because they're going to be all over the place. They're at the Starbucks, they're at the post office, they're at your church, they're at your job, they're at your Publix, right? And you just want to be able to engage with them if you talk to them. But, hey, let's not put ourselves in a stressful position. That would be my admonishment to you. But definitely praying for you for sure. Thank you. Oh, the interviewer totally has an agenda. There's no question about doubt in my mind. I think this gentleman right here, who's the interviewer, just in case y'all missed it. There's the interviewer. I do think that he had an agenda that he was pushing. I mean, for crying out loud, look, if you get invited by Jubilee to come on their channel, you have an agenda. Let's just tell the truth. Because Jubilee ain't calling me. My name is Jason, dearwokec@gmail.com. I've said I'll go on Jubilee. I will absolutely. They're 20 V1s. They're three. Usually they do like 3 versus 3. They've done those. I said, I would do it. Absolutely. Sign me up. I'll get over there. Absolutely. You don't call me. So if both of these people have been called by Jubilee to do videos, if you're not familiar with Jubilee, they're a liberal podcast and channel that does a lot of these basically one person versus 20 or 3 people on 3 different sides of an argument. They meet up and just duke it out. They're very amicable and such like that. I just don't like them because they don't allow you to do reactions to them. But I digress. If they've been invited by Jubilee, then that says a whole lot. That is saying a whole lot right there. If you've been invited by Jubilee, both of y'all were. Now, that's all I'm going to say is both of y'all were invited by Jubilee. And that says a lot about y'all. Y'all, thank you so much. That is a very good point. Yes, I do notice that. I do not think that, as a former school teacher, and we've had this conversation before about Second Amendment free zones and schools being the kind of like a big open target. I've said before, schools should be stocked with police officers and former retired police officers. They should be able to carry, and they're able and they're licensed to defend that school, whatever comes through the door, bar none. My daughter's school has 5, and they have their vehicles, they're in their uniforms, and they are there to defend my daughter's school. I think more schools should have. Now, I do not believe, and I know there's every now and then they throw that silly argument about arming teachers. That is the dumbest thing. That is the absolute most ridiculous thing you've ever imagined. No, you do not want teachers armed. That's silly. But having armed officers in the building, schools should not be gun-free zones. That's all I'm saying. So, but shout out to that for sure. Thanks, Jason. Yeah. Funny enough, I just got back on social media like a month ago. Oh, social media has been a wild ride, I'm sure. This is part of why I left in the first place. I totally get it. I don't like the 20v1 format. It just degrades into people yelling past one another. See, I agree exponentially to that. However, in my opinion, the 20v1 really picked up because people like Charlie Kirk, and I even think like Matt Walsh, I think used to do them as well. And again, I'm open to anybody showing me. So please email me, dearwokec@gmail.com, a liberal example of a Charlie Kirk. Show me a liberal Charlie Kirk. And the reason I bring that up is because this is their attempt, Jubilee's attempt, and there's a couple other outlets that do it, to try to create that same environment that Charlie, and I think even Matt Walsh and others, Brandon Tatum has done it before, where they're interviewing and engaging with people that they disagree with in real time. They really want to do it, but they can't because their team is just not that, they're just not hinged like that. It is not built like that. And I think this is a space that the shooting on Wednesday was trying to quash that experience. So now more people will try to do like a 20v1 online. So they'll try to do this, what Charlie was doing, in a controlled environment rather than an open format, because that's where ideas get parsed through, because it's not curated, it's not edited and all that kind of jazz like that. It's in real time, it's raw, and it's upfront. And that's what that's what the left is not able to recreate. My little thoughts and opinions on it. But thank you so much for that. I appreciate the comment. All right, what did I miss here? Those 3v3s are edited. Oh my gosh, yes, with total bias, absolutely. And I've heard many people talk about how they film for 5 hours and what is released is an hour. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they can't show me a liberal going to a conservative college doing what Charlie does, what Charlie did. I would love to see it. I'll even highlight it. If you can show me that, and it's not this super hyper edited, 5 hours edited down to 45 minutes. If you can show me that, then I'll even look, we'll review it. But they can't, because they're not able to be amicable. Go back and watch Charlie. Whether you disagree with them or not, you know that he was not being rude to those people. What he said might have caused them some consternation. What he said might have caused some internal conflict, but he wasn't rude. He wasn't just bombastic for bombastic's sake. anything he said was rude was probably within the context of what they were talking about. He didn't come. I mean, so they can't do that. They're not able to recreate that because that's a level of maturity that's just not theirs. It's ours. Absolutely. You can come. Hey, catch me outside. Wait, now we can catch me outside. You don't have to. Hey, we can play tic-tac-toe on the driveway. We can jump rope. We can give me a hug. Absolutely. We can sit around and talk. I'll pull out some lawn chairs. Catch me outside. We ain't got to fight all the time. We ain't got to fight. What's going on? Good to see you, brother. Grace and peace to you, sir. For sure. Thank you so much for stopping through. As I said it, I did think about that, to find a conservative college. Even Liberty and Hillsdale are a little left of center in certain things. No, I mean, there's some days I'm like, man, I would love to see I'm an alumni of Morehouse College right here in Atlanta. And there's some days I would love to see, like, what would that look like to go down to campus on a Friday, Market Friday, where all the students are out from all the colleges just milling around and do a prove me wrong right there in 4K. I mean, that would be crazy. I would love to see it. I don't know if I'm ready for it because, I don't know if I'm ready for it, Jason, but I would love to see it. But I will be going to alumni meeting this week, so we'll see what happens. Who knows? Maybe I'll go down and talk to maybe I'll go early and just talk to some students on campus. Like, hey, man, what do you think about this? Give me a 2 cent. That might be good. That might not be bad. Let's see. So anyway, y'all, thank you so much. If you just hopped in, we were looking at the gentleman who was talking to Charlie Kirk the moment Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and just his thoughts, and what they were talking about. Because I know you might have heard like clips and snippets of what they were talking about, but what were they talking about? So he talks about what he was talking about, kind of where his ideas were and who he is. So it was informative. So definitely check it out. The link to the unedited version of their interview is down in the chat. And of course, you can go back and watch this. Make sure you hit the like button, help your brother out, all that kind of stuff like that. But yeah, I think it was interesting. And I do want to encourage y'all, like, don't be discouraged. Do not be discouraged. The captain of our faith is still Lord and reigns. So therefore we have nothing to be worried about. Not a thing. Here, this is my last thing, because I know somebody told me they don't like when I do this. So I got to make sure I do it to make them even more upset. Here, I'm going to add this to the end. So as we round these bases, this is what I want to encourage y'all to consider. Wait, that's not there we go. I like that. Consider this. This is the marks of a true Christian. Because a lot of people they've been saying that Charlie Kirk is a Christian because of XYZ, ABC. I don't like when we bring in, I call it Jesus plus. No, we can't do that. So here's the marks of a true Christian. This is what turned the whole world upside down, they said in the book of Acts. This is what it is, the Christian ethic. Let love be genuine, abhor what is evil, hold fast to what is good, love one another with brotherly affection, outdo one another in showing honor. Do not be slothful in zeal, be fervent in spirit. Serve the Lord, rejoice in hope, and be patient in tribulation. Be constant in prayer, contribute to the needs of the saints, and seek to show hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. See, this is why the left is going to lose. This is why. Because our ethic tells us to bless those who persecute us, not to do anything else, but to bless them. And then what does it say? Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. It's funny that they mentioned this all during the summer of love in 2020, but it was always out of context. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Never be wise in your own sight. Repay no one evil for evil. That's why anybody who retaliates on this is not operating in the Christian ethic. No, repayment is not ours. It is not ours at all. I continue. But give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all. Be, if possible, so far as it depends on you, Live peaceably with all. Beloved, never avenge yourselves. Wait. Never? It says never avenge yourselves. Why? Believe it to the wrath of God. For it is written, what is written, Jason? Vengeance is mine. I will repay, says the Lord. To the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he's thirsty, give him something to drink. For by doing so, you'll heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Yeah. Sure, Charlie might have said some things and did some things that I disagree with. I didn't rock with. But you know what? Under no circumstances do I not believe that he is a brother in Christ and that he has heard, well done, my good and faithful servant. So with no further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you so much for rocking with me. This was an impromptu live stream. I know I didn't advertise it, but thank you so much to everybody who jumped in to the best live chat on the internet. Jump in. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out the door if you don't mind. And definitely jump into the comment section. Let me know what you think. How are you processing all of this? Thank you again. Oh my gosh. Oh, MC. Oh, I was about to walk out the door. Oh my gosh, $2. Super. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Former classroom teacher, taught for 15 years. I taught first grade, second, and one time I taught third grade. Horrible experience. For the most part, teachers are not built for what would need to happen in order to use a weapon. Most of your teachers are, for the most part, are idealistic females who are not, they don't want to harm a fly. Okay. I can't tell you how many times I had to go to a teacher's classroom because there was a spider or because there was a roach or something. Come in there, Mr. Whitaker, Miss So-and-so needs you to come in here. Miss Butterfly needs you to come in here and kill a spider. Okay. They don't want to do that. No teacher, myself included, wants to even consider the thought of needing to pull out my weapon in a school building. That's a horrible thought. It's choking me up to think about pulling my weapon in a school building. That's crazy. Okay. None of us got into teaching because we wanted to take or defend a life like that. Okay. My students always knew Mr. Whitaker would absolutely unequivocally do whatever need to take to make sure that y'all went home safely. No question. But teachers don't want to do that. And most of them are not built for that. They're not made for that. The training that would need to go into place so that Miss Caterpillar could defend her little 22 little people, that's just, you don't want your teacher doing that. You want your teacher grading spelling tests. You want your teacher out there teaching kids how to double dutch. You do not want them wondering about what to do about a weapon. But let me also give you some practical problems with it. If you have a weapon on you and you break up a fight in the building, what happens if the weapon gets dislodged off of you? And now you have a weapon in the midst of a fight. Because I've broken up many a fight. And you lose your glasses. You lose your pens. Do you really want my weapon to now be dislodged and laying on the floor amongst a whole slew of fifth graders that are rioting one another? You don't want that. That's not what you want. The newspapers, the print, you did not sign up for that. So one, teachers are not made for that. They're just not made for that. They're not made to defend. We're not talking about somebody who signs up to be a Marine. We're talking about somebody who signed up to teach ABCs. They're not made for that. The amount of training that you don't want to walk into Miss Bumblebee's class and find out that she packing. And you're like, wait, what, how thick are your glasses? Ma'am, wait, what? You don't want that. You don't want that. They're not built for that. The amount of training that it would take is ridiculous. Third, the securing of the weapon itself. Do they come in every morning to go to the gun closet to get their gun? Do they bring it to school with them? What if they leave it in their car? What if they get pulled over for speeding and they have the weapon on them? You don't want this. You really, truly don't want this. This is not the thing that you as a parent want, you as a community member want. And then what if you're an anti-gun person? So now I guess it's the fourth or fifth. What if you're an anti-gun person? You just don't like guns. Maybe you've had a bad experience around guns. And now you know that your cohort worker down the hall, am carrying. How does that make you feel? When you see me walk around and and a black man with a gun, you know I'm carrying. No, that's just not y'all do not want that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I am all about gun ownership, responsible gun usage, gun protection. I'm all for it. Sign me up for it. This is just not what you want. You just don't want armed teachers. You want a trained police officer, ex-military, ex-National Guard, ex-security guard. I mean, there's a ton of people that if we were really serious about this, we could hire former whatevers to do this job and be effective at it. And then that's all they do. That's all that man or all that woman does every day is make sure that we are good to go. And most of the time, they're not going to be doing anything. They're not going to be doing lunch duty. They're not going to be going to ISS. They're not going to be breaking up fights. They are there to secure the perimeter of that building and make sure that everything goes well. That's it. And they go home. That's what you want. You do not want these people carrying guns. I'm telling you. Wait, I don't like spiders, but it isn't because I don't think they should die. I don't like doing that either, but I have to. Hey, y'all, so now we're doing right. So now this is a pro spider community over here. Yeah, it's just you don't want, oh my gosh, there are 75 problems I can give you in the next 10 minutes with just securing the weapon. You just don't want, oh my gosh, you don't want that. There's so many impromptu things that teachers do, from breaking up fights to sitting on the floor reading, to climbing up on a table to get something, to running. Oh my gosh, running after a runner in the building. Oh my gosh. And I have a weapon on my hip, and now I got to sprint after little Johnny who's running out the back door and nobody else can catch him. You don't want that. You do not want that. Just get a vet. There's enough veterans, and again, they're not going to be the lion's share. Let's just say for laughs and giggles, there's 7 million schools in America, and let's say that you need to have 5 rotating veterans, former police officers, blah, 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 blah. So we're talking about 35 million people that you could probably task, and off-duty police officers that could be doing that. I mean, come on, that's jobs. That's peace of mind for y'all. That's peace of mind for me as a teacher. I don't want to be worried about this. When I see Mr. Bumblebee walking by, or I see Miss Caterpillar walk down the hallway, I know that they're there to protect the school. That's all I care about. I mean, I used to teach on Cleveland Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. If you're familiar with the Young Thug case, a lot of the crimes that they were committing in the Young Thug case were on Cleveland Avenue. I know where they were talking about. And yeah, that's a not very nice place. We were locked down a lot of the time. We would get locked down all the time, probably once a month, because there was an event that happened at the park. There was an event that happened down the street, and they locked down the school. We've had people running around the school with weaponry, criminals doing criminal stuff around the school in the purview of the school. What you want me to do? Pop them out the window? Man, come on. I'm so sorry. Y'all do not want this. This is not what you want. I'm saying it only laughing because I'm like, when people really break it down and stop and think, like, wait, where would they keep the weaponry? Would it be in the building? The same building that can't lock up the computer carts that get robbed? We've had our school get robbed of computers before. Like, what if they knew that there were weapons in the building and they break in and steal the weapons out the building? You do not, have I said this enough? Have I said enough? You do not want this. I mean, I think having more male influence in the school, period, is always good. Even if you just had dads meet the kids and help them, get them out of the car and walk them in every day. That would be great. We did that. Well, and we didn't even go there, Alicia. See what I'm saying? They themselves might be the problem. No, that's not the problem. That's not, this is, as I keep saying, this is not what you want. This is not what you want. Thank you again, MT. She says, makes sense. Thank you for the response. No, and I appreciate the comment because, again, as a former classroom teacher, I don't think people fully understand what these teachers deal with on a regular basis. And it is stressful. Oh my gosh, we're not going to even talk about stress. We're not even talking about stressful. These teachers are under a great level of stress. And then all of a sudden they got to worry about whether or not, I left my weapon in my desk. Oh my gosh. Just the protocol alone. Okay, this is the last thing and I'm gonna get out of here, y'all. Stop asking me these questions. Okay, I live here in Atlanta. And if you remember, go back about 12 years, there was something called the Atlanta cheating scandal, where Atlanta public school teachers were, shall we say, finessing. It was cheating on standardized tests, right? And it was a big deal. Okay. And I remember, because I was not in Atlanta at that time, thank God. But I remember, the way we handled standardized tests was very willy-nilly. It was extremely willy-nilly because nobody would ever think that people would do that, right? So the after effects of the Atlanta cheating scandal was this draconian. You couldn't even have pencils on your desk, and you had to have 2 monitors in your classroom, one watching the kids and one watching you. So if I had the test booklet, reading the test booklet to my students, and I put it down, I had to make sure that they could see it and that there was no pencils nearby. It was total bananas, cuckoo, banana town. But why? Because of the Atlanta cheating scandal. 168 people went to jail. There's people in jail still today because of that, right? I have classmates that lost their jobs because they got caught up in the Atlanta cheating scandal. So if this is what happens with a standardized test, what do you think would it be like with a pew? Everybody on grade levels got to have a gun, or there's one gun on grade level. That would be crazy. You do not. Okay, that's the last thing. I'm sorry. Put that over there. You do not want that. You do not want that. And again, I said before, I am pro Second Amendment, but that's just not what you want. This is not the struggle. Pick your struggle, but that is not the struggle that you want. Y'all, thank you so much for rocking with me. Thank you for jumping in on this midday live stream. I did not have it planned out, so thank you so much. I just want to go over that, and I'm glad to hear what your thoughts are. So definitely jump into the most electrifying comment section on the planet. Give me your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this. And how do we move forward? Like, I don't want we get upset and because I don't even think that's even part of our DNA to riot and act ridiculous. But what do we do moving forward? Do we continue to have dialogue? Do we have smaller prove me wrongs? Of course, probably not open air. Do churches get involved? Like, what is your solution moving forward? Because truly, this is not going. What Charlie Kirk was doing, the having the civil dialogue, that's not going to stop. It's just going to maybe take a different form. It's going to follow a different pattern. But no, it's not going to stop. There's going to be more civil discussion, civil discourse. Like I said, maybe I'll go down to my alma mater and ask some brothers some questions when I go down there, when I go down to alumni meeting this week. But We're going to keep having this. So how do we do this? How do we move forward? And then what does it look like past this? Just want to hear what your thoughts are. Thank y'all so much for rocking and tapping in with us. And such of that nature. And I'll just end with this right here. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Thank you for supporting the channel. I'm glad that y'all are finding value in it. If you don't mind, if you run across things that you do think are beneficial for the good of everybody, you can always email me. And my email, of course, is dearwokec@gmail.com. I do get a lot of emails from people saying, hey, what about this? Have you thought about this? Here's something that you might want to look into, or here's something you can say if I've already talked about a topic and some new development has come up, whatever like that. Definitely let me know. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot. I'm glad that y'all are finding value in it. So thank you so much. I'm going to go outside and get some sunlight. So until next time, everybody, grace and peace. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Jay Witt Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment, because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.